He has run a project called Project Vote for Acorn. He has served as legal counsel for Acorn. He's received contributions from the Acorn PAC. His campaign has contributed over $800,000 to Acorn, so there's clearly a tie.
Now, that was John Danforth last night on Hannity and Colmes discussing Barack Obama's ties to the group Acorn. There are conflicts over voter registration and voting procedures as the election approaches. The Ohio Republican Party asked the federal appeals court to disallow same-day voter registration and voting to avoid voter fraud. Republicans have argued that Ohio voters have to be registered for at least 30 days before casting an absentee ballot. But late tonight came word that the federal court has ruled against the Republican request and will, in fact, allow same-day voter registration and voting. Joining us now is former Ohio Secretary of State Ken Blackwell. Ken, first of all, we know that Barack Obama not only represented legally this radical group Acorn, a group that has been accused of fraud in how many states now, just this year alone, but also
several.
His campaign has paid $800,000 to this group. If you don't have the proper checks and balances, in other words, you can register and vote the same day, isn't this just setting ourselves up for massive voter fraud and perhaps worse?
Let me just alleviate some of your fears, Sean, by saying that they might register and vote on the same day, but those votes won't be counted until they're scrutinized on Election Day. Now, you paint an interesting and accurate picture of a disturbing pattern of associations. So now it's not just Acorn, it's Bill Ayers, and it is Saul Alinsky. And we're not out of the A's yet. You know, that is a disturbing pattern. Alinsky, Ayers, Acorn. And here is a totally discredited organization that the Democrats in Congress were trying to funnel even more millions of dollars to.
Considering all the allegations of voter fraud, considering the importance, the real importance in this election and in the last number of elections, no Republican's going to win the White House if they don't win the state of Ohio. I believe that.
Absolutely.
All right, so are we looking at an effort with Barack Obama funding associating with this radical group and this court ruling, the potential that there's going to be an attempt to steal the state of Ohio?
Well, let me put it to you this way, Sean. In 2004, George Bush won Ohio by about 118,000 votes. If you had turned 60,000 votes, it would have been President Kerry. That's about 4 or 5 votes per precinct. This race is going to be just as close. And one of the most deadliest crimes against democracy is voter fraud. Yeah. Here's an organization that has a history of voter fraud, and I think that what we're talking about is opening ourselves up to a vulnerability. It calls for eternal vigilance. And
interestingly, the allegations come from all the swing states, I doubt by accident. All right, I guess here's my question. Because, you know, now that this ruling has come in, I believe this is a severe problem. This is a group that Barack Obama should be called on and not have any ties to, not be funding, not have represented as a lawyer. So here's my question. What can the people of Ohio do to combat this?
First, we must be on our toes. Eternal vigilance. We can't go to sleep at the switch. We have a bipartisan system made up of an equal number of Democrats and Republicans, and we must make sure that it works. You guys last night had on Senator Danforth. He extended an invitation to the DNC and the Obama campaign to join the McCain campaign in forming a bipartisan committee for honest and open elections.
I want to get to some of the charges you're making here. First of all, the Ohio Republican-dominated Supreme Court and 2 federal courts agreed with the current Secretary of State, you're her predecessor, that it's okay to register and vote the same day. And this is not a bunch of left-wing.
What's your point, Alan? Hey, Alan, what's your point? I didn't make that charge. I basically said they have decided we must, in fact, make sure that the election is not stolen. We have a system, a bipartisan system in the state of Ohio. We must make sure that it works.
It's not the fault of Democrats. Secondly, I keep hearing the name Saul Alinsky. What did Saul Alinsky stand for that you find so offensive that you want to tie him to Barack Obama. And, of course, he comes out of the Alinsky School of Community Organizing.
Rules
Tell
for
me
radicals?
Specifically what you don't like about Saul Alinsky.
Saul Alinsky fundamentally hated this country.
Oh, come on.
He, in fact, but he believed in extra-legal activities. He believed that the ends justified the means. That is not the American way, Alan. You might embrace that. I don't.
No, it's not what he said. He actually said one of the tactics is to judge the other side as being immoral. The other side is supposed to be evil. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Those are the same tactics used by both political parties today in the United States to demonize, freeze, and personalize the other side. Republicans use those very same tactics against Democrats.
Alan, I hope you read the invitation that Ruttman and Danforth extended to the Obama campaign and the DNC. It talked about making sure that this election was one where we didn't have voters without borders, that we adhere to the principle of one person, one vote, because the one way that you put our system at risk is when you let a fraudulent voter
Nobody wants fraud,
discount the legitimate voters
I'm going back
of
to the
this
issue of
country, of our state.
tying Alinsky to Obama and Acorn, and of course Obama worked for Acorn, but that doesn't mean everything Acorn did was fraudulent, or that Obama is fraudulent, or that because he uses some of Alinsky's principles that he's somehow hating America.
It is a curious pattern of association. Ayers, Alinsky, Acorn.
This game of guilt by association is not working to hurt Obama's campaign, sir. But
well, I want to make sure that we protect the integrity of our democracy.
Thank you very much for being on our show tonight. Greta Van Susteren.